Good afternoon. I'm Ken Williams with the Tybee MLK Human Rights Organization, and we are here today with Brian West. He's a candidate for City Council for Tybee Island, and we've been asking our candidates some questions addressing quality of life issues and livability issues. And so we're going to ask Brian to respond to 3 questions, and we're going to give him a chance at the end to share from his heart about what it means to him to be a candidate for City Council and to serve. So Brian, welcome. We're glad that you're here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Look forward to hearing you share from your heart about some of these issues. The first issue that we'd like to get our candidates to respond to has to do with quality of life, livability, and Partnership for Livable Communities says that livability involves equitable access to such items as housing, neighborhood environment, transportation, civic and social engagement, clean environment, healthcare, and housing is the first item. In recent years, the property values of Tybee have gone quite high, and that prohibits a lot of people from being able to live here, particularly some of our hospitality workers, restaurant workers. And so, we are concerned about affordable housing. Wanted to ask about some ideas you had about providing affordable housing for some folks from diverse economic backgrounds.
I think that's a real challenge here on Tybee. Any available undeveloped lot, what's the lowest price you can get for something, away from the ocean and inland? I'm guessing it's probably going to be $150,000 to $200,000, and that's tough to start, for a building project. So the land value is very high. During the last election, I talked to some contractors about this topic, and one of the things they said was that the building codes should be looked at to make it easier to build that type of living down here for those people. So that's something to look at. And then you have to find someone that's willing to make that investment and try and make a profit off of it or whatever they need to do for it to work for them. And that's, I guess, if we go the private route. We could also do something as a city, as a government, maybe provide land to a builder to build something to make it available. One of my focuses is on data and having information. So I would want to know, how many people in the service industry live out here and don't live out here. They work out here and maybe they live or they don't live out here. And how many of them want to live out here? That maybe some of them don't want to live out here. I think you said, did you say education in your list, quality education? Yeah, so, there's no secondary education on Tybee, obviously. So some may would prefer to live, where if they go to school, Southern or Armstrong and work out here, it might be better for them to not live here. So I think, that's something to look at. I think another thing on your list was healthcare. We don't have healthcare providers down here. So maybe we're too small to be able to meet all those needs, for the livable communities program, whatever it was. So I've probably talked around myself without answering the question, but I'm certainly interested in finding out, if there's a way to do it, if there's property available, if there's an interest in it. I know we have like 40 bars and restaurants, on the island. Yeah. There's got to be a significant number of people working, sure, in those bars and restaurants, and then we have, hotel staff and people with their STDRs that have cleaning and all that too. So I'm sure there's a good population of it. It would just be good to have more information, to be able to move forward with that discussion.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we just don't know about, some of the facts and details about the folks that work on the island. So some good research would definitely be helpful instead of just kind of shooting in the dark. So,
yeah. That's a theme of mine. I'm going to go ahead and plug myself a little bit, but
sure,
that's kind of my theme. Is I think we make decisions based on a hunch or emotion or something we want or we think the community needs, And I think a lot of times we just need more information to be able to, make good decisions.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks for that. I want to move right on to the next question. Another principle of livability and also a moral obligation of public officials is to collaborate for the common good. And we have so many issues that are hot button type things that people have a lot of emotion behind them. And there can be some intense conflict, maybe a little incivility. So, one of the things that we're interested in is that our city council people, that they work together, they collaborate, they hear a lot of perspectives. How do you intend to incorporate, you mentioned data collection, part of the data is the human dimension, how are people feeling about things? So interested to know how you intend to gather that information, how you intend to incorporate diverse perspectives in decision making, so that no one segment of the city population is favored over another.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I've served on several boards for different organizations around Savannah in my lifetime, and I've found that boards, and this will apply to governments as well, boards that have diverse groups on the board with different backgrounds and different experiences and different ideas about what will work, for that organization, are always better to be on than boards where everybody thinks alike, because it's just not good for the organization to be like that. That happens, my background is in healthcare administration, so I kind of want to apply that question to the healthcare environment, because one of the things we teach is that hospitals have to be diverse. The population of the hospital, the employees of the hospital, needs to reflect the population of the community. Because if we have, if we have a hospital in Miami, the majority of the healthcare patients there are likely Hispanic, and we need a hospital staff that can understand with them and communicate with them, and make them feel like they're being taken care of, well in that environment. When you don't have good communication, when there's language barriers or ethnic barriers or experience barriers, whatever it may be, then that certainly makes it more difficult, to make the organization work. So I enjoy being on those boards where there's a mix of people like that. Even as far as your pamphlets and your brochures that you give out to patients in the facility, those need to be in a diverse group of languages that reflect the community. The hospital in Denver is going to be much different than the one in Miami, like I mentioned earlier, as far as the population goes. So that needs to be a consideration. And I think that's important for government as well. We have to consider, and even on Tybee, Tybee is not very diverse. We're becoming more diverse. There's more people moving in here from other places, which is good. But even on Tybee, we need to think about ways to make the experiences better for people that might want to come here. Positive experiences for the visitors that come and for the residents. Once they get here, a lot of Tybee people lately, it seems like, maybe come here on vacation and decide they would like to come live here because they think it's a great place. And I'm glad they do that, and that will bring in diversity. So I would look forward to working with a group of people that are not all thinking the same way, that have different ideas about how things should be done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and it seems like most of the folks who live here appreciate diversity. They don't want everything just to be homogenous. That they enjoy getting to know people from different parts of the country and from different backgrounds, different races and ethnicities. So
yeah, that's the kind of the southern charm joke, right? Like, where y'all from, and what do you want to drink? That's kind of like to learn more about other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would certainly enjoy being a part of something like that.
Yeah. So that brings us to our final question, and it has to do with education, another aspect of livability. And you mentioned earlier about not really having secondary education provided here. We do have the Tybee Island Maritime Academy, and it's a charter school here on the island, and they focus their student population on children that live east of the Lazaretto Bridge, but they also have a large population from the, outside the city of Tybee area, out in Chatham County. There is a lottery for economically challenged folks. Well, there's a lottery to attend, but the economically challenged, they have 4 chances in the lottery compared to one on a child, one chance for children on the island. And that presents some challenges for diversity. So, you know, knowing that the council doesn't really have control over the board, how would you propose to try to influence or support or help TEMA create a more diverse student population?
Well, I would, I don't know much about this, but I would hope that that the board of TEMA and the council do work together well. I know that there's a council member that's been successful in helping the school grow and add grades and things like that, which I think is great for our community. Going from what was it, 15 years ago when we closed our private school, and probably another 10 years before that we closed our public school. And those dates might be wrong, but I know that we went from an era of no access to education for families to having a charter program, which is fantastic, and a very unique one as well. And for a couple of years ago, I was reading up on TEMA, and it and one school in Atlanta were like the 2 highest ranked schools in the state for educational experiences for these kids. And they're doing something unique, marine things. I think that's just great. As far as working with them, I would hope that there is an effort to prioritize, the children that live on Tybee first. I've spoken with a lady, and she didn't give me permission to say her name, but she was instrumental in helping the board of TEMA be more proactive about getting students that live here on Tybee to be able to go to school before the rest of the county has that opportunity. So I think that's great. And the fact that we can make it available, a great program like that available to economically disadvantaged students is excellent too. But I think your question was, how do we work together to make sure it goes well for everyone? And it's communication. Communication is the key to success in any organization. So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for sharing that with us, answering those questions. We want to give you a few minutes to just speak to the audience from your heart, any issues that you're really passionate about, or your desire for being on the council.
Okay, well, gosh, there's a lot I could say. I think Tybee is a great place. That's why I grew up here in Savannah. I've always wanted to live here, and I was so happy that one day I was able to be able to afford to move here, and I just love being on Tybee. I want to see good experiences, positive experiences for the visitors that come, and for the residents that come, and for the businesses. We need our businesses here. If we want to have a good quality of life, if we want to enjoy the island, we need these restaurants to be open. We need these stores to be open. So we need to do what we can to help those businesses be successful. Positive experiences for visitors. They worked on that this past year with the traffic, which I thought was great. But you come to Tybee and you spend all day riding around in a car looking for a parking place, and you're going to leave with a bad impression, of what this place is, and we don't want that. So I want good experiences for the residents, the visitors, and for the businesses, and that's really, that in cooperation, among the council members, which we've talked about before. It's amazing to me. Well, it's not amazing. I guess I understand it. How we can make any issue, left or right. Conservative or liberal. Mm-hmm. Vaccinating somehow is, left or right. That just blows my mind. I don't get that at all. But it happens, and mm-hmm. it doesn't need to on this little nonpartisan island. It seems like we shouldn't have to do that here. And I know it happens, and we'll have to deal with it. But I would like to see more cooperation and coming together with ideas that work for the community.
Very good. Thanks very much for coming and being a part of this process and give us a chance to get to know you a little bit better and to share from your heart on these issues that are concerning the community.
I appreciate the opportunity. I think this is a great program. I'm glad I was able to